So what is ICANN? I'll say a word about that. It's a private nonprofit organization. It's incorporated in California. And it has oversight of names and numbers. So it controls the distribution of, ultimately, it has oversight over the distribution of these numbers, although it's further allocated to regional internet registries around the world that further allocate the addresses. There are also a lot of private companies that take care of the mapping between names and numbers. They're called registries. If you saw the GoDaddy advertisement, have you heard of GoDaddy? Danica Patrick is one of the spokespeople for that. They're called a domain name registrar that hands out domain names. So there are a lot of institutions. This is just one small area of internet governance. But you can get a sense of all of the different entities that are involved in the management. So what are some of the political implications of this area? Because it is highly technical and it's a little bit esoteric. I'll give you a few examples. Who should control, or who should be able to use United.com? United Airlines, United Arab Emirates. I'm not a sports fan, but is it the Manchester United? United Van Lines? And who decides? Well, this institutional system does decide, and sometimes there are very onerous trademark disputes that happen. And there's something called typo squatting, where someone might intentionally, instead of Coke or instead of Pepsi.com, someone might try to get PEPSY. I'm just making up a hypothetical example. But these kinds of things happen. Another example of how this is very political is the authorization of what are called new top-level domains. So what's a top-level domain? That's an area of naming on the internet, such as .com, .edu. You're familiar with all of these. .gov. When you type in a domain name, you sometimes type in those various just suffixes, really, that represent an area of organization of naming on the internet. So who authorizes the development of new top-level domains? It's this institution, ICANN. And what's controversial about that? Well, can .xxx be authorized or .sex be authorized? There are freedom of expression issues. There are issues of public interest and child protection and law enforcement that come up in that. And really just interesting conflicts that can arise, for example, between a private company and a territorial entity like a government or a region. So recently someone proposed, well, I'd like to manage .amazon, and not surprisingly, it's the company Amazon. Well, the countries that have the Amazon rainforest within their borders said, wait a minute, right? There was a controversy over .patagonia for the same reason. So these things, I could actually go on for hours and hours and hours about the conflicts in that area. But I find it very fascinating because here we have public interest concerns ranging from freedom of expression to the protection of innovation and trademark. And we have this private nonprofit entity that has done a fairly good job of keeping things operational, but always under the microscope and always with symbolic and real concerns about the connection between the United States government and this entity.